Start by selecting fresh, high-quality ingredients for your fermentation projects. Opt for organic produce whenever possible, as they tend to have fewer chemical residues. Look for vegetables, fruits, dairy, or grains that are in prime condition and free from signs of spoilage. Choosing the right ingredients is crucial for successful fermentation. While high-quality ingredients reduce the risk of introducing harmful bacteria or impurities. Selecting organic produce can further enhance the quality of your fermented foods by minimizing chemical residues. Having covered the importance of choosing the right ingredients, let's now move on to practical tip number 2. Utilizing the appropriate equipment. Having the right equipment and tools simplifies the fermentation process and promotes successful outcomes. Here are some essential items to consider. Fermentation jars with airlocks. These jars create an anaerobic environment, allowing beneficial bacteria to thrive while minimizing the growth of harmful bacteria. The airlock ensures that carbon dioxide can escape while preventing oxygen from entering, creating the ideal conditions for fermentation. Weights play a crucial role in successful fermentation, and there are various options to keep your food submerged during the process. Tucking a cabbage leaf over the top of the prepared vegetables is a traditional method that acts as a natural weight, keeping the vegetables in place and preventing them from floating to the surface. Additionally, thin wide strips from zucchini or carrot can be placed over the vegetables to create a mat-like weight. For those looking to introduce sweetness and complexity, apple slices can also be used as weights, infusing the ferment with natural flavors and sugars. Furthermore, specialized fermentation weights made of ceramics or glass are popular choices. These weights are specifically designed to fit inside fermentation vessels, providing the necessary pressure to keep the food submerged. Whether you opt for the natural approach with cabbage and apple or choose ceramics or glass weights, incorporating these various options ensures that your vegetables remain fully submerged, allowing for even fermentation and optimal flavor development. pH strips or meters. Monitoring the acidity level is crucial for both safety and achieving desired flavor profiles. pH strips or meters help you measure the acidity of your ferment, ensuring that it falls within the appropriate range for fermentation. Additional tools that can be handy include a thermometer for monitoring temperature, a funnel for easy transfer of ingredients, and a vegetable tamper for packing down the food in the jars. Having these tools at hand will make your fermentation journey more enjoyable and increase your chances of successful fermentation outcomes. Now that we've covered the importance of utilizing the appropriate equipment, let's dive into the next practical tip: understanding the basic fermentation process. Understanding the basic fermentation process is essential to achieve optimal results. Let's break it down into key steps. Begin by thoroughly cleaning and cutting your ingredients. This ensures a clean and uniform environment for fermentation, reducing the risk of unwanted contaminants. Proper preparation sets the stage for a successful fermentation. Starter culture or natural microbes. Introduce a starter culture or rely on natural microbes present on the ingredients. Starter cultures, such as whey or specific strains of bacteria, can kickstart the fermentation process by introducing beneficial microbes. Alternatively, you can rely on the naturally occurring microbes on the vegetables or fruits themselves. These microbes initiate the fermentation and help establish the desired microbial community. Fermentation temperature. Pay attention to the recommended fermentation temperature for your specific recipe. Different ferments have different temperature preferences. Maintaining the appropriate temperature range ensures that the beneficial bacteria can thrive while inhibiting the growth of harmful bacteria. This creates the ideal conditions for fermentation to take place. Fermentation duration. Follow the recommended fermentation duration for your chosen recipe. Fermentation times can vary depending on the ingredients and desired flavors. Allowing the fermentation process to proceed for the appropriate duration allows the beneficial bacteria to flourish, breaking down sugars and transforming the flavors and textures of the food. Now that we have a good understanding of the basic fermentation process, let's shift our focus to another essential aspect of successful fermentation: proper sanitization and hygiene. While the fermentation process relies on the activity of beneficial bacteria, it's crucial to maintain a clean and hygienic environment to prevent the growth of harmful bacteria. Here are some important steps to follow. Equipment cleaning. Thoroughly clean your equipment before and after each use. Use hot soapy water and scrub all surfaces, including lids, jars, and utensils. Sterilization. If using glass jars or other heat-resistant equipment, consider sterilizing them. This can be done by boiling them in water for a few minutes or running them through a dishwasher cycle. Hand hygiene. Wash your hands thoroughly before handling any ingredients or equipment. This minimizes the risk of introducing harmful bacteria into the fermentation process. Use soap and warm water, scrubbing your hands for at least 20 seconds. Clean work surface. Ensure your work surface is clean and sanitized. Wipe it down with a food-safe sanitizer or a mixture of water and vinegar to remove any potential contaminants. Now that we have covered the importance of proper sanitization and hygiene during fermentation, let's turn our attention to another critical aspect: controlling fermentation conditions. Creating the right conditions for fermentation is essential to ensure the optimal growth of beneficial bacteria and the development of desired flavors and textures. Let's explore practical tips for controlling fermentation conditions and achieving the best possible outcomes for your fermented foods. Temperature. Most fermented foods thrive between 60 degrees Fahrenheit and 75 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 degrees Celsius to 24 degrees Celsius. It's important to find a warm spot in your home that is away from direct sunlight. This allows the fermentation process to proceed steadily. Use a thermometer to monitor the temperature and ensure it stays within the recommended range. Extreme temperature fluctuations can affect fermentation outcomes. Humidity. While humidity is not as critical as temperature, it still plays a role in fermentation. Controlling humidity helps create an environment that supports microbial activity and minimizes the risk of mold growth. Aim for a moderate humidity level, around 70% or lower, to provide a favorable setting for fermentation. Consistency. Maintaining a consistent temperature and humidity level is essential for successful fermentation. Fluctuations in these conditions can disrupt the microbial activity and impact the fermentation process. Avoid placing the ferment in areas with frequent temperature changes or high humidity, such as near the stove or in the bathroom. Now that we've discussed the importance of controlling fermentation conditions, let's move on to another crucial aspect of successful fermentation: taste testing and monitoring. Regularly tasting and monitoring your ferment allows you to assess the progress and make adjustments according to your preferences. Here's how you can effectively taste and monitor your ferment. Flavor assessment. Taste a small portion of your ferment at regular intervals to evaluate its flavor development. Pay attention to acidity, tanginess, sweetness, or any other desired flavor characteristics. Texture evaluation. Consider the texture of your ferment as well. Depending on the type of food being fermented, you may be looking for a particular crunchiness, tenderness, or desired consistency. Monitor how the texture evolves during the fermentation process and adjust the duration accordingly. Adjusting flavors. Based on your taste tests, you can make adjustments to the flavors, if necessary. For example, if you prefer a tangier taste, you can allow the fermentation to continue for a little longer. If it's too tangy or acidic, you can decide to halt the fermentation process and move your fermented food to storage. Now that we've discussed the importance of taste testing and monitoring during fermentation, let's shift our focus to another crucial aspect: storage and preservation. Transfer to clean, airtight containers. Keep food submerged in brine or liquid. Ensure that the fermented food remains fully submerged in its brine or liquid during storage. Choose the right storage temperature. Most fermented foods benefit from being stored in a cool place, such as a refrigerator or cellar. However, some ferments may require specific temperature conditions, so refer to the recipe or fermentation guidelines for guidance. Monitor and rotate stock. Regularly check your fermented foods in storage to ensure they remain in good condition. Rotate your stock by consuming the oldest batches first to maintain freshness and flavor. Now that we are done discussing these practical tips for successful fermentation, I hope you found them useful and helpful in your own fermentation endeavors. Please watch more my video, and subscribe. Thank you.